Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to F1 Manager, episode 76. Jago has improved yet again. He's now an 81 overall, and we have transitioned him with feedback at an 83. It's really solid where, we can get a good setup race by race. It has gotten a little bit harder this year as, I've started simulating those FP1 sessions. Some races I'm having a little bit harder time with it, but I mean, come on, we're consistently getting either 14 or 15 even with doing that. So I've changed that focus now to pit crew management to get the better pit times out of the team. Right now, of course, a lot of our upgrades are being slowed down and impacted by the status of our wind tunnel being down. We've got an upgrade that's going to be on the way soon for the wind tunnel. We need 24 million. We're up to 23 here on the 1st of June. So hopefully after this next race, which we're heading to Baku next, we'll have enough money to get that done or get that started. Now, of course, that's going to take 3-4 months to be done, which means it's not going to happen until the end of the season. So for the remainder of the current season, we are looking at a drastically reduced rate of upgrades. But we do have some on the way right now. And beyond that, we have made some pretty steady progress to the car up until the 1st of June. So through the last 5 months, we've taken a car that was very mediocre at the start of the year and we've turned it into a very competitive one already. You can see grid average wise, we're now better than grid average in all but 2 categories. Some of these areas though, it's barely, it's only just. We are only just ahead of grid average in top speed. We're only just behind in acceleration. So we've reached top speed. But cornering is definitely well above. DRS is starting to get well above, though the acceleration is only just better. Brake cooling is just below. Engine cooling is now just above. But then we are pretty good in the dirty air cornering, which of course shows up when you look at this. We're looking at that top speed being 11th and 14th. We're looking at first, 4th in the cornering, 3rd and 1st in the DRS, first, 9th and 11th. So we've either hit average or just about or very close to top of the order in car performance. But of course now growth rate's going to slow down. So I'm hoping to at least maintain for the rest of this season kind of where we're at with that. But as we already saw in the last race, we're now capable of competing for podiums, for wins on the right track in the right scenarios. And that's where we need to be if we're going to be taking at least 2nd in the points this year. Last year, I believe, Baku, we had the first ever time that we managed to get in the points here after difficult results the previous couple of years. Last year, we were 4th and 6th. I'm hoping we can fight for a podium today. Now, of course, one of the key things about Baku is you've got to manage a street circuit with tight corners, but then you also have to manage this absurdly long straight, and top speed has never been our thing. But for the first time this year, after all that work we did last season, where we had, by this point, we were probably 8th or 9th quickest as a team. Now we're up to middle, so hopefully that can translate to going down the straight well enough and cornering well enough that maybe we can compete for something a little bit better than what we did last year, where we weren't far from that podium, just a few seconds off.
Hello from Baku, where we're looking forward to a weekend of racing among the medieval and the modern, here at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Drivers will be battling it out on the streets of the Baku city circuit, a real contradiction of a track. From the long main straight, where the less drag the better, to the tight turns where downforce is a necessity. Teams are going to have to work hard to get that balance right. We're about halfway through the season now, and there's still plenty of time for everything to change. All eyes are on the teams and how they tackle the rest of the year. Stay right here, because we're just getting started.
First chance to truly see where our pace is at. We've got enough of a clearance here for this banker lap run that we should be able to, really look at our pace, and it's definitely not quite there. I mean, we're well ahead of Aston Martin, but I mean, come on, it's Aston Martin. They just don't have the pace. But even the Alfa Romeo of Magnussen is ahead of us for now. Or at least ahead of Perez. Perez, though, that's looking like something happened on his lap because, yeah, there's Leclerc setting a faster tempo. There's the Red Bull as well. Right now it's mid-table, and I'm guessing that a lot of those guys behind us are behind us because of traffic, not because of their actual pace. So I do worry that we might not even be a top 10 at this stage. We're definitely taking our chances a bit, though, by going out on the same set of tires, but if we don't have the pace, we don't have the pace. So I really don't care too much if that ends up being the case. And somewhere in the near future, with Porsche in particular, after that DNF that he had 2 to 3 races ago where he got wiped out really bad from behind on somebody that locked up, he took a lot of damage. It didn't destroy the parts, but he took a lot of damage, enough so that it instantly turned that entire set of components into practice-only components. So as a result, as we end up P7 and P11 here in Q1, it looks like Doohan didn't improve his time. Porsche did a little bit to stay similar to where he had been before, and that was on the U set, so that's a good lap there. But you can see we're definitely hovering around the back half of the top 10. Even though I do have some concerns about our pace, I went ahead and went out on the U set. Really glad that I did, because both cars were compromised on the lap. Very good chance that they lost some time overtaking those couple of guys, and with the U set already slowing us down, plus that slowing us down, you can see we're definitely not last, but it was not a great time. I'm glad that we didn't waste a brand new set for that one. We'll set ourselves up just one run. We're gonna have a go at it and see what we can do. For now, it's 9th and 12th as we go to prepare for the final run here in Q2. And of course, this one should come out clean with everyone going out at the same time, and there shouldn't be an impact as long as we don't have some sort of lockup from us or anyone in front of us that's going to create local yellow situations. All right, we've got a clean enough run here. Porsche, I think, just close enough to Sonoda to maybe get a little bit of a tow down the straight, but not really be impacted on the corner. So that could be good for Porsche's time, which he definitely needs as he's coming in here at P12. And how are we looking on our lap times? Everything's green so far. Doohan, Sector 2 is also green. Porsche, green as well. As good as we head into the final sector. And Porsche has closed right up on whoever it is that's in front of him. Both out for now, so they need the lap. They need the lap. Porsche, ooh, third for Porsche. And Doohan just squeezes through in the last transfer spot to Q3. All 10 are out there, and you've got the 2 Ferraris somehow stacked right on top of each other. That's going to impact their lap time, but Doohan's got some clean air. Porsche's got some clean air. We are good to go on that part. It does look like that Doohan's going to give Verstappen a bit of a tow, though. So that could lead to a really good time for Verstappen, as Verstappen is, kind of perfectly placed to get that bonus. Hopefully he's a little too close here and now, and it's going to affect his lap time, but he seems to be closing up on Doohan. I'd say that it's probably not hurting him and that he's benefiting from it. Not good lap time so far. Perez, the only one behind us, 8th and 9th after the first run, but of course I did still opt for the used set out here, and Verstappen ends up quickest by more than 3/4 of a second. So he did. Verstappen, we set Verstappen up completely on that one to our own detriment and to his benefit. Not a good lap from the team, but we will have the fresh set at least for the final run. And we ride on board with Porsche as he begins the final run here of Q3. And of course, as always, we are the ones on the fresh set. Everybody else is on the used set. But we had a pretty poor first run with both cars at the tail end of the top 10 with just Perez behind us. And you can see the Ferraris are very much towards the back end. So at least that is good for our chances of putting Ferrari behind us in this race. But the other competitor, with 4 teams really competing near the top, McLaren looks good as they sit potentially on row 2 for now. Verstappen, of course, got that huge toe from us. And how are we looking on the time so far? As we are seeing some change. You can see we are fresh where others are not. Some are improving. Perez has improved, so we're going to have to definitely improve as we come up on the finish line. Checkered flag is out. No benefit. Everybody was evenly spaced. Pourchaire does not improve. He stays P9. And Doohan heads for the line, and he doesn't improve either. So we are going to start from the back, at least back of the Q3 group. We helped out Verstappen. Leclerc drastically improved. Perez improved. Not where we want to be. Definitely not where we want to be for the start of this race. That top speed, a little bit of a problem for us. We will have the benefit of DRS in the race, as we are very good there. We're gonna need it. We're gonna need that to have a good race.
Welcome to race day. And before we get down to it, last-minute checks are being made.
Qualifying went well for Williams, as attested by their strong position on the grid. Now it's all about finding that edge for the race itself.
It looks like a 2-stopper could be the faster way to go here at this track, as you can push the speed and just get after it. Where we're located on the grid, if we were to take that option, we're going to have to be aggressive on that first stint, trying to make a lot of overtakes to get up. Either way, we're going to be caught in a fair amount of traffic. And if we're caught in a fair amount of traffic, I don't think we're going to progress and be in the position we want to be in. If I were in the front couple of rows, I think a 2-stopper is probably the way to go. But being that we are starting from the 5th row, I think the 1-stopper, the longevity, getting out there and keeping a cool head seems the smarter approach. So we're going to try to go for the 1-stopper here, but I am full willing to change tactics if we have anything from, lap 15 on in terms of a safety car situation, or if, again, later in the race, another safety car situation or VSC kind of comes up in either of those couple of windows, we could switch to the other tactic, especially if we do find ourselves moving up the grid order a little bit.
It's a bit of a cloudy day for the race, but the atmosphere, as ever, is electric. Here's Williams. A top 10 position today, but will they be able to capitalise on it? And looking at the second Williams car, they might not be in the top 3 spots, but things could change fast once the race gets underway. And we're just moments away now. Here we go with the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we go.
Question of the day, of course, is will our patience pay off as we start from 9th and 10th? Side by side, no gain, no loss. For now, we will settle in here shortly enough, knowing that, we've got a long race ahead of us. For now, we are already putting a little bit of a gap on Albon behind us. That could be good as trains begin to form. If we can stay up close to these guys and maybe compete with them, and of course the DRS is going to be to our benefit. Already more than a second now behind. We did underfuel by 1 lap, and here it's a long lap, so that's quite a bit of fuel that we are underneath the limit by. So we are going to have to do a fair bit of saving at some stage here. And as Doohan tucked back in, that allowed Ricciardo's gap to kind of halve, as Doohan didn't tuck in terribly well and lost a bit of ground himself. Sainz 8/10 down on Perez. I think he had tried to make an overtake and ended up, by the time he pulled back in, he lost quite a bit of ground. We're all over the back of him. Doohan's not in a great position comparatively to Pourchaire, as he's almost 8/10 behind. Albin is more than a second behind Ricardo, so he is a little bit off the pace here. Maybe a little heavy, or he could be on a totally different strategy with, no? In fact, most everybody's opted for the medium. Only Gasly and Bottas on the softs. And they might not even be going with a two-stopper. That might just be an early soft to hard and try to go the distance with it. The two-stopper still called for medium hards, but then finishing the softs. DRS is now open, and Albin didn't get it, and you can see that gap open that much quicker. The Mercedes way behind, well outside of the top 10, just ahead of the AlphaTauris, and Russell also, 2.5 seconds just became 1 very, very quickly there. And Albin also pulled back to within a second. Gasly leads this race, not Verstappen, who had a 3/4 of a second advantage on his pole lap. But like I had said at the time, his pole lap was a gift from us to him. Tsunoda holding back a group. Pourchaire gets around Sainz,
just gained by Williams,
but is just over a second down after he makes that overtake. Norris is also losing, so a lot of cars are losing their train. Doohan is more than a second back, but he's got Ricardo right on him, and then Vettel's too far back. Ocon's too far back. A lot of small trains are forming as a lot of cars not able to quite keep pace with those ahead of them. Pourchaire and Sainz are regularly swapping positions here in the early laps as they, lost contact in front, so whoever has DRS is quicker. Got passed up by Ricardo, but they are back in contact with 3 seconds behind them, so we are both in the same train, 4-car train. Pourchaire also getting a little bit closer again from where we were. Maybe the DRS advantage helping us close up on the guys, I don't know. But the front 7 are still together, and then we're in that 8, 9, 10, 11 train with 12th on back, getting further and further and further behind as the laps go by. Lap 13 now. We are recovering the fuel. We're down to 1.8, so we've picked up 3/10. And first round of pits. Woo! Early for these guys. First round of pits. So there is 4 cars that have opted for the that's got to be two-stopper, because that wasn't the guys on the soft compound. As Gasly pits, right, soft to hard should be just the one-stopper. 1 lap later, Bottas will probably come in this lap, and he does. So 4 cars going for the two-stopper, 2 cars going for the soft to hard strategy, and now you're looking at everyone else. So 14 cars picking the same strategy of a one-stopper with medium to hard, or so it would seem at this stage, as we still have quite a ways to go yet. So we are in the top 7. Doohan is now at the front of the group with Pourchaire down to 6th. Doohan just 1.6 back. Norris is 2.2 back. Leclerc by himself. We enter our pit window. So Leclerc out front by 2.5 seconds. It's all relatively close to the top end. We're talking about 5.5 seconds from 1st to 7th. Magnussen a bit further back, and then Vettel much further back at 14.5. 13th on down is already beyond pit window range. Top 12 are still in contention for that. Of those that have just pit, like Gasly. Gasly's running a 148.2, so is Bottas. Those were the 2 guys who just pit. So a 148.2 is about 1 second faster. So right now those guys are gaining 1 second per lap. But the one I care more about is something like Ricardo, who's running a 148.5-ish. Albin's running a 148.5. Tsunoda's running a 148.7. Those are the ones to keep an eye on. How much ground are they gaining? But that means we are losing about 3/4 of a second per lap on a Ricardo, on an Albin. So those guys are probably going to come out ahead of us. But later on in this race, we're going to be definitely faster than them on that next stint. But we are going to have some catching up to do, some overtaking to do. For now, we sit P3, P4 as Norris and Vettel both pit. That is Sainz just behind us, and the two Ferraris just ahead of us, and we're not quite on their pace. No fuel up, just the tires. Let that fuel come down naturally. It's already lap 21, and we've only recovered 0.6. Leclerc, Sainz, and Magnussen all into the pits, so just Perez left out in front. We are just over a second behind. I would like Doohan to deploy and try to get us up into Perez close enough to, what do you call it, to have DRS.
Yeah, copy.
But here comes Pourchaire stealing his thunder because he had DRS. Quite how we wanted that one to go, but I guess it'll work. Doohan gets back ahead. Yeah, it is less than a second behind now. Okay, where would we expect to come out at? We've gained that second here on this lap. So that's good. It looks like we might have DRS as we come down the straight and head for pit road.
The pit lane.
Oh, they're both entering the pits.
Copy.
I doubt we're going to overtake
white
them
line on
because,
exit.
you know, pitting is not exactly our strength here. Between the pit box location, yeah, now we're sitting and waiting to come out behind him. And we come out further behind than we were because we wait that much longer. And by waiting that much longer, we come out behind these guys even. That is Sainz just behind us, who we were just ahead of a lap ago before he pit. We're going to maybe stay ahead of him. We do. There you go. Oh, get up the inside of the Alpine. There you go. Get back in our position. Finish the... Oh, come on. And then you intentionally lift and tuck in. You had the inside heading into the castle. At the end of the straight here, if we don't have it, we're gonna have to tuck in. But Pourchaire is heading into the box. 2.6, decent stop, and not held up. He's not losing an extra second, but he is coming out behind it. Ooh, all the way up the inside of the Ferrari now. Don't need that far. We got up the inside of the Alpine. Second in the group is good, but... Alright, so we got a front five. We got a front five with front three in the strongest positions there. And then you got Verstappen and Norris. Then we have our trade of Perez, Doohan, Ricciardo, Sainz, and Pourchaire. So that's 6th through 10th. Doohan's in a better position than Pourchaire right now, but his tires are already a little more used. His fuel is now a little bit worse off as we made the move to get around Ricciardo and to stay ahead of Sainz, and he's burnt through his battery, so that's a downside. But let's go ahead and go to harvest. Now, lift and coast is gonna have to happen with 25 laps to go, and only having recovered half of 1 kilogram when we need to recover 2 kilograms. So it looks like we're going to naturally recover another half. So we are going to have to lift and coast at some stage. But we got Doohan in 1 lap. Decent amount of battery recovered there. He's at the front of the group, 4 seconds behind Norris and Verstappen, with Leclerc, Gasly, Bottas. And Gasly, Bottas, remember, they pit early, so they are going to lose pace later on, which means Leclerc is in the strongest position right now. Magnussen is 2.5 seconds back, and then Albon is 4.7 back. So Magnussen very much on his own out there in no man's land, and then Albon a ways back. Okay, there's that back up. Oh, lock up. Doohan! What are you doing, Doohan? as we prepare to go racing again, Porsche P9 doing just takes himself out of the race. This guy, the rookie mistakes are far more frequent. There is some sort of added variable that they have in this game. Let's see if we can get up the inside for turn 1. Yes, we do. We started to tuck back in, but then Ricardo gave us some space, and we are up into P8 with Porsche. Now, our fuel situation is good. It's good now. I mean, we're only 2/10 down with nearly 20 laps to go. So a big push right now to get some positions, getting ahead of Sainz. We are now up into P7 and one position shy of where Doohan was. So we've already gone from where we were in that train almost to the front of it, and still have a chance to make up some more ground here. But in the meantime, I think that's good for now. Let's go ahead and go standard and neutral. And it's exactly what we saw with Porsche his rookie year. Very capable as a driver. They didn't go away entirely. He made the occasional mistake, but the frequency of them fell off significantly. And it seems to be how things work in real life too, is somewhere around half a season for rookies to kind of settle in. So my guess is there is something. Even Albon that first year, that first half of season, made a lot more mistakes. And if you remember, all the drivers made a lot more mistakes. So I'm guessing that first half of season, anyway, lap 37 of 51, and the front 8 have definitely pulled away. So Magnussen is 3.9. So your guys in the points are out there. Norris is starting to lose the front 2 a little bit. And, we're towards the tail end of this thing. So at some point we are going to want to try to move forward. As there is that back group, those last 4 cars that were on the 2-stopper, stop again. And they come out in last place. So we've got back within a second. That's obviously a key, and if we could get ahead of Sainz here, actually, that would be a really good opportunity for us to get him out of the picture. But we need to, at some stage, try to get forward, and that's one of those things that you want to do before you're down to 60%, or you want to do it late, one way or the other. And maybe comparing where we're at compared to these guys could make a difference. And Verstappen's a little bit down. Bottas and Gasly, as expected, are down. So they are below that 60%, which means there's a good chance that they're going to start to fall off, Leclerc and Norris. That's going to give us an opportunity to get up around them at some stage. But at the same time, it could mean, the top 2 are going to be going. I don't think we have the pace today to properly compete anyway for much positionally. Though it looks like we can get Verstappen right here, right now, as we go to enter the main straight. I think we're going to have enough of a pace advantage here. What is his gap, though, ahead of him? He is just inside that 1 second, and we're definitely getting DRS here. And Sainz is 1.3 behind. That's what I was talking about with maybe being able to break that, but we're about to have our flap open, and he was more than a second down. He gets DRS anyway. See if we can finish the job, though, here on the secondary straight. As we get to the inside, and we complete the pass. Complete Verstappen. We make the pass happen, and we're up to P6 as refill that battery for another go. But for now, that is P6. Somehow Sainz brakes really late, and that gap closed right up, so he's back within a second. But Magnussen, Vettel, those guys are all too far back. Okay, there is Bottas starting to go backwards. Of course, that was a DRS situation where he didn't have it, as he lost the train on Gasly. So feeling that pressure, that means he's a sit and duck, and getting him between us and the Red Bulls would be really, really helpful. So slow. And just like that, we're 1.8 behind Perez. 1.5 behind Perez.
And there's an overtake from Williams.
1.9 as he had DRS and we don't. We've got to close that gap up and leave Bottas behind. 1.03. 0.8. Nice.
DRS is
Okay,
currently
battery's
disabled.
empty.
DRS is currently
Battery's
disabled.
empty, but just like that, we are back up in there. We are going to have to go balanced.
We
At some
will
point,
leave
we're going to
co-
have to lift and coast as we've turned it up and not recovered the little bit we need, and we're definitely down on laps here. But Gasly, Leclerc's, like I said, Leclerc I thought was going to have the advantage, and sure enough, he does. Norris is starting to go backwards as Gasly's gotten around him. Perez has caught up, and of course, we have now caught up. Bottas somehow squeezes his way back within a second, which pulled Verstappen and Sainz back up, so they are not quite out of this thing, as now Norris is going backwards. Oh my goodness, that was close. Standard. And then we will start to conserve on the following laps, because this is the last clear overtake opportunity that we're going to have. This is that point. Push. We don't have anything to overtake with. Bottas, 0.9 behind, so we nearly have him out of DRS. Now 1.1, but then he closes it back up. One bad corner for his teammate. Was a good corner for him. Bottas, 0.6 behind, so he is close. So is Verstappen and Sainz, but hey, we're P5 and we've got a shot here. But this, wow, that was not a good sequence of corners. I know we've got the engine turned down a little bit, but we just lost so much ground to Norris. We can't turn it up, as we are going to run out of fuel if we do. And we just like that, we lost DRS. We lost DRS. That was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Bottas gets up beside us, but we do get him to pull back. And actually, he ends up losing DRS as a result. He lost DRS as a result, so that's good. Now we're getting inside. Now we're getting inside our window, but just 3 laps to go. If we can get DRS and close this back up, though, we can do that lift and coast. 1 lap worth of lift and coast is all we need. Half a lap worth of lift and coast might be all we need. No. If we have anything left, then we will try to overtake on the final lap here. But these 4, so tight. Perez being at the front of the group is definitely not what we want. Gasly at the front of the group is okay. Us, getting into the middle instead of just being last of this group. Bottas is almost 3 seconds behind, though, so at least that's happened. Those guys are out of the way. I'd love to see Bottas stay ahead of Verstappen. Ricciardo overtaking Verstappen would be brilliant. 0, and push on. Positive. It's a positive delta. And we're coming up on that final lap. Leclerc, all alone, 9 seconds ahead. But we are 7/10 down, and we are still hovering around just enough fuel here.
You're opening your final lap.
We've got the, there you go. Now it's hovering towards 0.1. So we got the fuel sorted. We're not going to run out. We're 1.7 ahead of Ricciardo and then Bottas. So Verstappen and Sainz, that's 1 point for Red Bull. That's huge. That is huge. And then we're going to head down the straight here in a moment, but we only have 4%, 3%, 2%, nothing. We're not going to get an overtake done. We are not going to get an overtake done on Gasly. If he didn't get DRS, Gasly, I would think we might be able to get the overtake, but we're not going to get it. But he's got the DRS. So just go balanced. Make sure we get across the line.
That's Leclerc. Charles
P5.
Leclerc is today's winner.
P5. We did make our way forward.
Okay, and check
Right,
a flag.
we were 9th. We got up to 5th. Only motherfucker of the day to make a mistake is doing again. But being sandwiched with the Alpines, not bad. 1 McLaren up ahead of us, not too bad. 2 two Ferraris in the front. That one hurts. That one does hurt. But at least the two Red Bulls only managing to get 1 point between the pair. Similar pace to what we had last year. Problem last year, this year, only one car finished. We were, what, 4th and 7th last year, so 5th. So with those 4 points, Porsche sits 3rd in the championship, now just 4 points behind Verstappen, just 6 points away from Norris. But do it struggling. Too many damn mistakes from him. Really, really, really costing us so much. We stay second with McLaren 1 point behind. We just overtook them last race, and we just stay ahead this race. And then Ferrari closing the gap as well. I mean, that hunt for second, just 2 points separating second to 4th place. Everybody else is far enough back, right? That's good for me that Alpine grabs 8 points. But Red Bull only getting 1, just 12 ahead, maybe, just maybe, in reach. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.